We're going to start with the last steady state model in the assignment, and we'll add, to start with, a couple of transient time periods. I'm going to go under Model, Mod Flow, insert some time periods. We'll insert after time period 1, and we'll just insert 2 of them of 30 days each. If we go back now and look at the setup, we have two 30-day time periods, 10 time steps each. We'll change that third one to 335 days. So now we have 1 year of transient after the initial steady state. If we go to time period 2 there, now we can set the ET rate for each period to 0. It by default copied our steady state to all of the time periods. And then if we have a look at time period 3, we'll see that that's set to that steady state rate as well. So now we have 3 time periods, a steady state, a 0 flux, and a transient with that same flux. We'll run that, just the 3 period model, 3 stress period model. Look at the result from the one monitoring well we put in. We can see there's a very short period and then an off period where the water level rises, and then ET is activated and it falls. If you want to see the mass balance for this time step, you can go under Model, Mod Flow, View Output File. There's a separate video that I've made to look at mod flow files and show you how to do that for input and output. But this is a way you can do this from within groundwater vistas. And you scroll down here and you'll get output, some general output, and then you'll have output for each time step within each stress period. So here we're looking at stress period 1, time step 1, and you can get all the components of the mass balance here. You can scroll down further, and here we'll settle on time step 5 of stress period 2, and again you can see the components of the mass balance. All right, now we'll add some more stress periods under Model, Mod Flow, insert stress periods. After stress period 3, we're going to add an additional 29 time steps. Those of you who are paying attention should see that would really be better if we did 30 there, but that's okay. We'll come back and fix it. Now let's look at the setup of those, and we'll see that all the ones we added had 30 days. So every other one, we're going to change that to 335 days. Wait for it. We're just about to realize the mistake we made. We get here, and we're like, oh, shoot. And we click OK. And we're going to have to go back in under Model, Mod Flow, and we're going to have to add one after number 32. We'll add 1 time step. Might as well make it have 335 days. Good. All right, so now if we look under stress periods, we go all the way down. We have 32, which represents the 16 years, plus 1, the initial steady state, so 33 stress periods. Now we want to define the recharge for those periods. We're going to go to property values. We're going to copy the transient data. This is a nice trick here. So we're going to copy things from 1. We'll go from 1 to 33 every other one. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 would be the same, and they would have that non-zero rate. Do the same thing, but this time we'll copy from 2, starting from 2, going every other 2, so 2, 4, 6, 8 will have 0. So it makes it pretty efficient if we do that. We can now run the model. This is our 16 years after an initial steady state. And if we look at the output in terms of the monitoring well response, so here's the result. We have 16 of the sawtooth periods, so that's each year with the seasonal variation. But we also see this trend, and the trend is really the model coming from whatever initial condition we applied towards some kind of cyclical steady state. So we can imagine if we ran that long enough, it would become flat in terms of the trend, but we'd still have that seasonal variation. That's called a burn-in period. So we're just trying to burn through the impacts of the initial conditions, which don't really mean anything. So if we really want to jump to the steady state, and part of the homework assignment is to figure out how you should change that initial steady state condition so that you go as close as possible directly to that linear portion where you don't have a trend, you only have the seasonal variation.